From overwhelm to in control. That's what we're talking about today on Motherish. And we're joined today by Amy Motroni, a certified life coach, author, and a mom of four who's on a mission to help busy moms go from overwhelm to in control.
We read the books, we bought the things. We thought we were ready. And then life took our plans and changed them. I'm Karen, I'm Victoria's mommy, and I work in tech.
And I'm Pamela. I have a baby boy named Ford, and I'm a journalist. And although we're both first-time working moms, we're actually pretty different.
And that's totally okay. Because we both agree that our most important work is raising our kids. We really need each other and can only get through this together. Welcome to Motherish Moments.
Okay, well, welcome to Motherish. I'm Pamela Silva, and today we have a special guest. We have Amy joining us from Genius Mom Hacks. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Good. Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
First of all, I love your background. I always say that that is the first preview of how in control, of how messy motherhood is going for you. So this is a good sign. We have hope.
Yes, there is lots of hope in motherhood, no matter the season of motherhood you're in. I'm passionate about all of the seasons.
Well, welcome to Motherish. We're gonna start like as usual with our Motherish moment of the week. Do you have a moment you want to share with us first?
I do. So as you said, I have four kids. The last two are twins, and the boy twin, I'm so proud of him. He got into just a little disagreement at soccer practice the other day. And afterwards, the mom and I chatted, and I asked him to go over and apologize to the boy, and he did it publicly. And apologized more to just the boy. He even took it upon himself to apologize for the whole team on how his behavior could impact a team setting since soccer is a team sport. So I was really proud of him because those are big moments for little kids.
Of course, I love that. That reminds me actually. So I'll share my mother's moment of the week. It had to do with soccer also. So my son is 5. He is the youngest in his team because most of them have already turned 6 at this point, and he doesn't turn 6 till April. So he
Oh,
has a
wow.
long way to go. Yes, but we had to make a decision between playing with the younger kids who are 4, 5, or playing with the 5, 6, 7 at that point. So we tried the younger team, and even he was, aware that he was like, and physically he's a big boy. Like Ford is,
Mm.
he's tall and he's heavy, and he was like, Mom, I think I could play with the older boys. So I'm like, okay, if you're ready and you think, that this is time, we'll go ahead and do it. So the coach, which was his original suggestion, told me to move him up to an older team. And it's just like such a humbling experience to try not to transfer your fears and your insecurities to your kids. I kept thinking, oh my God, but he's the smallest one and he's the youngest one. And I don't want him to like his first experience with soccer and playing games and being in a competitive space to be one of disappointment or feeling like you're the underdog or the youngest one. So I was like, okay, if you think you're ready, but I don't think I'm ready for this. And he's been doing great, so I'm glad that
Yeah.
he was brave enough and had the courage to do it. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit nerve wracking for me to watch him. Also to learn about being patient and not like learning how to lose. And there's so many lessons that like he's like struggling with, but I think slowly, he'll get there. And also I'll get there, right? Because like it's such a
Yes.
different experience as moms watching your kid play a sport and wanting the best for them and wanting them to be happy and enjoy the process. But just giving them their space and letting them make their own decisions. And you know so that's my he actually has his first official game on Sunday. I'm going to miss it because I have another commitment, but I'm nervous for him, but I'm
Oh,
excited for him as well.
oh my gosh, that's so great. And I think that's awesome that he's playing up and getting exposure to that. He'll love it.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Okay, so why don't we talk about these mom hacks? Okay, I think a lot of moms miss so much from the magic of motherhood because of the stress, right? Because you're
Mhm.
overwhelmed, because you're trying to manage it all. How did you, first of all, like, why don't we start with the beginning of your journey? How did you get this idea to share your hacks where were you in your journey at that point? Did you, because I think most people sometimes have these ideas because they have the necessity to figure out for themselves, right? So why don't you take us to the very beginning?
Absolutely. So my story is exactly how you kind of keyed it up, is that I was that stressed and overwhelmed mom. I had my oldest one who was 18 months and I had a 3-month old um, baby at the time. The twins, we didn't even know we were going to have twins at that moment. And something so simple and trivial usually is like the icing on the cake, right? It wasn't about what was happening in that moment, it was the bigger picture. So I was trying to put towels away in my linen closet, and the linen closet was very stuffed with stuff, and they unraveled to the ground right in front of me. And just all that work, like everything you do in motherhood when you have young kids, and actually at any point in your journey, is what I've come to learn, even being in that next stage and next season now. Your time is precious, and everything you do,
Yes.
you can't afford the time to have to redo the task that you just started, right? So, in the fact that the towels unraveled to the ground, it literally broke me, and I fell to the ground crying, and my kids are like, "What is going on?" Um, but that was the catalyst for me in realizing I did what I feel had like a light bulb epiphany moment, where I saw my home for what it truly was in that moment. And it was chaos. It was messy. It was causing me my stress and overwhelm, because things in my home were not easy. Everything felt very challenging. And that was because of the chaos that we were living in. And also, as a mom of young kids, I felt justified in the mess, right? We're busy, we're
Right.
tired, we
Yes.
got a lot that we're juggling. The home doesn't become the priority, and it seems almost backwards to make the home priority, to free up the time to be able to make your kids the priority that you want them to be. But that's what I learned in my journey. So as soon as I started making specific and strategic changes in my home, I found that the motherhood journey that I wanted, I finally was able to experience, because I didn't have the stress and the overwhelm that plagues so much of us because of our home. So I was able to be that present mom, that patient mom, or more patient. We're never always completely patient. And the truth of the matter is, we're not looking for a perfect motherhood. We're looking for one with progress, that allows us to live that life that we truly want to live. And I found that in effective routines, productivity tools, some mom product hacks. It was a combination of several things, and that's been my journey. And I thought, a year and a half ago, why not share it with the world? And it kind of took off, and it's because moms are desperate for this kind of like tools and systems and strategies.
Yeah, and sometimes moms don't even know where to start. And you posted
Yep,
a very enlightening story yesterday. I don't know if it was a real story, where you say it doesn't happen overnight. Just because you buy a weighted vest doesn't mean that right away you're going to get in shape. And you gave a few
yep,
different examples. And I think it's such an important message to tell moms and remind them. First of all, why don't we share some advice as to how could they start, right? Like if they're in the middle of chaos right now and they don't even know where to begin, what's the number one priority that they should be focusing on? And also why they must be patient and show grace to themselves, right? Because it does not happen overnight.
yeah. So great questions and a great point. I always tell moms that you didn't get to this point overnight, so you're not going to resolve it overnight. The strategic tools and systems, you will get there quicker, right? Anytime you
Right.
have a game plan, things feel easier. So, right, the question is, well, where do I start? I'm overwhelmed in my stress. My brain can't even think on where to start. I just see mess and chaos. And so that is the first struggle. And I always coach moms to start with a morning routine. How you start your day directly impacts the rest of your day. So if you start with a toddler screaming, "I'm hungry" at you, a baby crying, and you're late getting to kids to drop off to whether it's daycare or school, you are in fight or flight mode. And if you've ever been in that moment, it's really hard to come back from that. It literally sets your whole day in
It's
that
like a
fight or
snowball,
flight
right? It's like
response.
just gets
Yep.
worse and worse.
And then you're just like, how did this day like unravel right in front of me? Well, it kind of started how you started the day, right? So if you can get in front of it, then you have a better chance to kind of have that more controlled, peaceful day. And then there are some things that sound very simple, but they're actually game changing. And there's a lot of psychology behind what I teach. So the first one is to make your bed. And it sounds so simple, but there is so much psychology behind why it's important to make your bed. Not only from the fact that you'll have better sleep, which as moms, that's a huge win. But it tells your brain that you're going to be productive today. And it's one of the few things in motherhood that actually has a start and a finish. Because if we really look at motherhood, it's a lot of unfinished projects and tasks, right? The laundry, you can do one load today, but you're going to have laundry every day for the rest of your life. So that never feels really like a bow is put on it. It never feels complete, right?
Like that sense of
The same with
satisfaction, like,
dishes.
ah, okay, it's done, right?
Yep. Yeah. Same with dishes. Like just go through a lot of the things that you do in motherhood, raising your children. It's not like you check that box like, oh, raise them for today. We're good. No, a lot of our life and the roles that we carry are ongoing projects, tasks, motherhood. So making your bed is that first sense of accomplishment, and it really will set the tone for your day. Another thing that I encourage moms to do is to do that one load of laundry a day. Who wants to spend the weekends doing laundry all day long? No. So if you do one load a day, then you can get on top of it and feel a little bit more like you've got that laundry pile managed. Emptying the dishwasher. And a lot of the things that I do talk about in my content are very practical. So they're not like
Right, they're
sexy in
doable.
nature,
They're
right?
doable, and I think a lot of people,
Yeah.
Amy, just need some guidance, right? Like I'm a big, I respond really well to, okay, tell me what to do. Give me a step by step. I'll do it. I'll get it done, but give me some guidance. And I think a lot of moms just need a little bit of that structure guidance.
Yep. It's true. And so checklet like, and here's what the big foundational piece that I talk about is really it's routines. So a lot of the content that I share on social media, even that story that you were just relating to, is we want the quick wins, but really what's going to have the long lasting change in your life are these little changes that you do every single day that compound into huge results. So regarding the weighted vest, you can't just buy a weighted vest and then tomorrow you're going to have 10
Right.
pounds off because you bought the vest. But it's the little day-to-day habits that stack on each other, right? If you wore that weighted vest every day and walked for 10 minutes and maybe increased every week by 1 minute, in 3 months, you will definitely have lost weight because that is the compound effect of daily habits. And routine is really the foundational piece to that. So I really teach moms how to establish routines. And why routines? Because routines are the things when done consistently, they take away the brain mental energy.
Yeah.
They take away that mental load. They take away that constant reminder, right? A lot of moms want to rely on lists, but when you have a list, you're having to tell yourself all day long to do that list. And that list
So
is
be
not going to tell you
consistent
when to do
enough
it.
that it's kind of like an automatic pilot, right? That it becomes like part of
Yep,
your daily routine.
your
You talk
your
to
daily
a
routine.
lot of moms, I'm sure, Amy, and like I think a lot of moms sometimes feel alone or isolated when they're struggling with something. What are some of the things that moms struggle with constantly, and that perhaps is more common than moms even think it is, right? Because I think motherhood is one of those weird things where we're part of a community, but we're also like questioning if like, am I the only one struggling with this?
Yes, I would say majority of what moms struggle with is the laundry and the everyday house tasks, feeling like every other mom has it better dialed in and is doing it better. Thinking that I must be the only one that can't get all these things done. Like all of those are very common. But I will say a lot of the moms that are struggling with these things is because they are lacking the tools of routines and productivity tools because we're not really taught this stuff. The handoff from your mom to today's generation and us as moms today never really happened. And that's because we're living in a much different modern society, more fast paced than our parents ever did.
Mm,
And so the handoff looks differently now,
right.
trying to survive in a dual working household. Most moms are working full time now. That wasn't the statistic, 20, 30 years ago. So motherhood in itself does look and feel different. And so the tools that our moms use may not benefit and work today anymore.
Let's talk about adapting. I think you're a great example, right? Like once you started sharing the mom hacks and you had the two smaller children and then you got twins, right? So how important is it for a mom to master the ability to adapt? Like once you think you have it figured out, and this happened, I mean, I have one child, but I feel like once I thought, okay, I got the sleeping, I got this, then there was a change that came up, right? I think adaptability is so important to be able to survive the chaos.
Yeah, so motherhood is definitely fluid. The seasons they change frequently, and you add more kids to that mix, and it definitely can feel very different all the time. So being able to kind of, flow and transition to the different changes is really important as a mom. I know once the twins came, the things that I was doing for the other two, I had to shift and do things differently. Um, and I think the biggest thing we get trapped into as moms is the guilt, like, oh, I'm not doing things exactly how I did it for my other kids, or this looks different, or I'm now not able to spend the same amount of time on this child that I did on that child. So knowing that every season is going to look different and to not carry the same expectations that we go into each season. I always find it funny that before we have kids, we have what? More time, more sleep, more all these things. And we have probably lower expectations of ourselves. We get married or we have kids or however that process looks for you. We have less time, less energy, less sleep, and higher expectations of ourselves. Like we really set ourselves up for failure when we put ourselves in that deficit of never being able to really achieve those expectations. So lower the bar. Motherhood is about constantly lowering the bar. And other moms are definitely struggling with the same things you are struggling with. I'm coaching moms daily and I hear it all the time.
I love the morning routine example you gave. Someone gave me advice about waking up 15 minutes before my son would wake up in the morning. And now every time I do that, which is usually most mornings, I have that 15-minute window of alone time to take a shower, to do my face routine. It's literally, I do it all fast, but I do it by myself before even Ford wakes up, right? So once he gets up, I feel ready. I feel ready. I feel like,
Yep.
I have my creams, I have my SPF, I have my hair picked up, I'm dressed to like do the drop off. And that makes such a difference because when I don't do it, let's say I slept in and we woke up together and then it does feel chaotic. What is that one
Yes.
hack? You have so many good hacks and advice, but what are the top three that surprised you about how popular they became and what a difference they made?
So waking up before your kids is actually one of the more controversial ones. When I do post about that, I get like so many who love it, and then I get so many are like, it's impossible. If I breathe the wrong way, my kid hears me and wakes up. But I am pretty strong on waking up before your kids. No one's gonna convince me otherwise. I've been doing it since my oldest was barely 2 and the 3-month old, and then I did it even when the twins came. Is it hard? Yes. Does it take consistency? Yes. Are there tricks to being able to do it? Yes. It will, like you experience, it'll change your life to have that few
Yeah.
minutes of just to think on your own, drink your coffee hot and wash your face without a child right there. And with 4 children, like I crave that time. Like that is my biggest sanity in my day is, and my husband and I wake up together and just having that quiet time
Yeah.
together where we can just not even necessarily talk, but just be in stillness is, I think, a pretty invaluable moment. Um, I think the other thing that a lot of people have said, oh my gosh, that is so genius, is the way that I do my laundry. So instead of washing laundry by like clothes types, I wash it by person.
Hmm.
So each person in my household has their own laundry basket. It's in their room, and they all have a day of the week on the calendar that their laundry gets washed. The reason why I love this is because it's really easy to train your children to
That's
do their
amazing.
own
Yes.
laundry.
No, and also the sorting,
So
right? At
all
the
four of
end,
my,
instead of like having
yep.
everything mixed drives me crazy. Yes.
Yeah, so there's no sorting, and a child can't say, "Well, I don't want to wash my siblings' clothes." They're only washing their clothes.
Mm.
So all four of my kids do their own laundry now. That's game changing. That transitions into the third one that is pretty game changing, and it's teamwork. I'm a big get your kids involved very early in our household because motherhood was never meant to be done alone. I think a lot of moms are carrying way too much than what they should. Not only do spouses and partners need to get more involved, but the children from age 2, your children are actually very capable, can do a lot more. I think we've kind of lost that teamwork, team playing mentality in our homes where the moms just feel I can do it faster, so I'll just do it myself. And that works for the moment, but that is not a long-term game solution. Getting your kids involved early and consistently really helps reduce the stress and overwhelm in your home, and more quickly than you think. Yes, it takes some work up front for a few months as the children learn their roles and learn what they're capable of doing. But it really does make the home life feel a lot easier when you have everyone working together.
It's crazy. It's true. Sometimes we're like, oh my God, I'll just do it. I'll just pick up the toy room. Like, let's just get, it's true. Like, you have that temptation
Yep.
to just get it done, do it yourself. But you're right. In the long
Yep.
term, it's not a great game plan.
Yeah. I always try to coach moms to have motherhood is a marathon, not a sprint. If you look at it for each day for what it is, like a moment by moment, then you're shortcutting your future motherhood experience, because the tools that will impact you the most take time in the moment to teach them and to coach them. And really, your role as a mom is to be a coach. You're all coaches. Like, even though I'm a certified life coach, as a mom, you're teaching and training your children. And so, in fact, you are a qualified coach.
Let's talk about seeking help. I think a lot of moms feel embarrassed or feel like they're failing at motherhood if they seek some guidance and help. Why is it important, and why is it okay? You're right, to get a life coach, to get another mom to help you, fix the chaos in your home.
Well, the biggest lie that we tell ourselves that keeps you stuck is that I should just know how to do this job. But if you were to go get a job, you would expect training.
Right.
And a lot of times,
So true.
everyone
I love
brings certain
this.
skills. Yeah, everyone brings certain skill set to their motherhood, right? Because you have your own gifts and your own strengths. But with strengths comes weaknesses. And a lot of times those weaknesses, they come out in motherhood. And then you immediately feel like, oh my gosh, I should know how to do this. I gave birth to these children. This is my home that I built. Like, why am I struggling so much in this area? And it's because motherhood is, you're a CEO in your home, and you need the tools, and a lot of times you need the coaching to be able to run your home like that, because you were never taught to be a CEO. And a lot of times we get married and we're young and we're barely knowing who we are, let alone manage so many different components in a home and being a mom. So it is really important to recognize that it is very smart of you to get help if you're struggling in an area, because you'll get to your goal and your result faster.
I love that. Let's talk about the book. So exciting. You just revealed the cover recently. It's about to launch in a few weeks. Tell me about what was important to take that guide into now this book format, and what could we find in the book?
Yes, so I'm very excited about my book. It is Genius Mom Hacks, the tools that will give back your life, sanity, and time. And it will actually, I'm living proof, not only that, but I've helped over 10,000 moms with my guides. And my book is all of my 5 main pillars in the book. So I have 5 guides that I coach on, just different aspects in motherhood. And I've taken all of those pillars and put them into a really easy, digestible book that is going to be not only on Kindle, but Audible. So I want it to be an opportunity for this content to get into more hands, more moms, right? If you don't have time to consume a course or a guide, which is what I've been doing for the last year and a half, most of my content been through those platforms. This is another opportunity to get my content and to hear the tools very quickly and start applying them to your life right away. So I'm excited. We're doing a live launch on October 28th, so please join us. Everyone is going to get access who's on the call right away, and it'll be a really fun experience, and it'll go out to the whole world since my audience is, around the world.
I love that. How could people join it? Do they find it in your Instagram, or how could they find the call?
So right now I'm taking wait lists, and then when I have the link for the call, you'll definitely sign up for the wait list, because then you'll get that link easier versus otherwise just follow me on Instagram and the other platforms. And then when I have the link for the live launch, I'll share it and put it out. But it's on October 28th from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time US. So I know that means differently for anyone depending on where you're at time zone.
When you started with that anecdote about the towels falling out of the closet and just breaking down, it took me back to there's so many moments, right, where you think you're like about to have a breakdown, but you're just you're holding on, and like the tiniest, smallest thing. And I remember at one point, I think it was me trying to get Ford's bike into my trunk, which it did not fit, right? And me having like struggling is like a physical struggle, but also is like it just took me over the edge. And you mentioned
Yeah,
inside of your book, like regaining your sanity, right? Let's talk about mental health and how much of this
yeah.
mental load we put on ourselves, right? So physically, we're handling, we get it. But at some point, I feel like the physical and the mental meet in this breaking point, and that's when you're like, okay, I need to figure this out.
Yeah, I often say that motherhood is 50% physical and 50% mental, and that the mental will break you sooner than the physical. And especially the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves today, with moms doing more than any other generation has ever done, being a mom, working full-time jobs. Kids' sports are to a whole new level, and our kids are in more activities and being fed entertainment more than any other society and generation has. And that a lot of times put extra pressure on moms. And that's why I love these tools, because when you do get your home on autopilot, which is kind of my tagline, that takes away that mental load. It takes away that invisible mental load that is finally getting the attention and being talked about more. And hear how, because a lot of times we rely on lists, and we rely on our own brain and our own self to get through the day. And if you can take some of that out of your brain and put it into routines that automatically get done, that you don't have to think about, that lightens the load a lot. And then you go ahead.
No, 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 no. I'm like saying yes because everything you're saying, I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, it
And
resonates with
then
me.
teamwork really lightens the load too, right? Because if you can bring in other people to help carry that load with you, and not just carry it stubbornly, but really get on board and work as a team. The content that I share and the tools and the scripts that I coach on, get everyone working together as a team. One of the best ways you can start doing that is a Sunday reset routine, where it's a whole on board family unit. You all work together, you celebrate together, you play together. I'm really big on rewarding children's involvement with quality time with them, because ultimately that's what our children seek most, is time and attention from us.
Yes.
And that's what we lack being able to give them, because we don't feel like we have time in our day. We'll bring them on board, coach them, train them how they can help in the home, and then go get ice cream together, go ride a bike together, go play football in the backyard together, go play that board game, because they're craving for that attention from you. And it's really a win-win. And that will help with the mental load. One, it makes you feel so great as a mom, and that guilt will start to ease and go away. Two, you're getting more done in less time. And so that mental load and that list and all that responsibility that we carry will feel lighter as well. And when a motherhood journey feels lighter, you can be a more present and patient
Yeah.
mom.
I love that. I'm big on delegating and kind of like assigning people responsibilities and holding them accountable for that. And it could be the most minimal things. For example, like my mom handles pickup a lot of the time. So I kind of like delegated all the after school schedule and activities, right? So now I get annoyed when she asks me, like, oh, does he have soccer today? Well, I don't know. That's your area. Like, does he have soccer today? Like, text the coach. You know what I mean? So, and at the beginning, it's a little bit of a struggle to let go and also hold her accountable for that, right? So I told her the
Yeah.
best way to help me be productive at work and be focused at work, because I have a work that demands me to be very present and very just like connected to work and disconnected to the rest of the world while I'm at work. I told her it's by you being responsible for this little small window, right? Between 3 and whatever time it is, 7, handle his schedule. Like, does he have soccer? Does he have OT? Does he have whatever it is that he has on the schedule? You follow up, right? Like, if there's any change in plans. And I think if moms will delegate, if they're able to do it, and it's hard for us, right, to let go and not be
Yeah.
helicoptering over every detail. It does it makes such a big difference, like physically and mentally. Is just delegating and let it go. And I think the idea and the concept of teamwork makes such a big difference.
Yeah, and I was coaching with some moms the other day, and one of the moms was talking about, well, he doesn't do it how I want it done. So that can apply
No
to
one's gonna
every
do it
member
like
in
you
your
do
family.
it.
No. And so you do have to let go some of the expectations. I mean, you're going to let go some of the expectations in yourself. You definitely got to lower the standards for those that are helping you. Because I always say it's progress over perfection. If you're trying to live this perfect facade of your home and your lifestyle and your kids, you will be doing it all and you will be carrying that weight for the rest of your life because you want it done your way and you want it done perfectly your way. And no one's going to ever rise up to that expectation. But in my home, I'd rather have progress in my home and me feeling lighter and not having the stress and not carrying everything. So that means I have to let go sometimes, right? The
Yeah,
towels aren't going to be folded the perfect
yeah,
way that I like them every time. Um, my kids aren't going to put their clothes away exactly how I want them in all the drawers folded perfectly if I'm now telling them that they're doing their laundry. Um, Now, yes, there's coaching and training. You want your kids to like gradually get better in some of these skills. And you don't want them to be lazy or do, a half job. But there is a difference between doing effort and putting effort in and then not doing it to your expectations. So I would tell moms to lower the bar on yourself and
yeah.
lower the bar on others.
I love that. Your kids are older, Amy, so I'm sure they're a lot more aware and conscious. Even though Ford at 5 is very aware about when I'm stressed, when I'm tired, when I'm in a good mood. He's very receptive to like how I'm feeling. Why don't we talk a little bit about how important it is for moms to seek, how to fix the chaos and be less stressed for the benefit of their children as well.
Yes, I am really big on transparency and authenticity, especially with your kids. And I do apologize. Like if usually I'm stressed because of, a situation that's outside of my control that's causing me frustration, and I will communicate that with them. I do feel once you get your home more, aligned and more less chaos, you have the patience to respond better
Yeah.
with your kids. But I think it's really important to explain to them why you feel stressed, why you feeling overwhelmed. I coach my moms to explain it not only to their husbands, the invisible mental load, but explain to their kids. Like when you say you want to have a play date, this is what it entails. When you say you want to sign up for soccer, this is what it means on the role of, and how it's going
Yeah.
to change the dynamic of our family and our afternoons and our evenings and our weekends. Not to put the burden on them because kids don't need extra burden, but so that they understand because a lot of times it's lack of knowledge that create the friction and the
That's true.
stress and the chaos in the home. And I explain to them why managing a home matters. There's studies that have been done by Princeton and a lot of large other hospitals and science backgrounds where the your environment directly relates to your stress levels. So if you walk into an environment and that's your home, that's your
Totally.
work environment, whatever environment you're in, and it's chaos, there's messes everywhere, it feels stressful, you're going to hold
Yeah.
that. You're going to wear that. That will become your stress. That actually will become your children's stress. I explained to them why it's important to keep their home, their room clean and their bed made. Not because we're trying to live perfect lifestyles, but because I care about your well-being. I care about your mental well-being, your health. And it starts with children too.
I love that. And it's true because we feel it, right? Like when I walk into my home and it's
Yep.
clean and it's in order and it's like just your state of being, like your attitude, like the way you're reacting to things, it's all directly affected by that. At least that's how I feel when I walk into a home. For example, I love
Yep.
to go and buy flowers. That's my thing. I go once a week. I go to Trader Joe. I buy flowers that I like. I come home. I put them in all the different, vases in my house, and it makes me feel happy. It makes my home feel joyful and in order and put together, right? And I do it for myself. Like it's just a treat
Yep.
for myself. So I think it's great. I love what you're saying about like even teaching our children like that they're gonna feel great if their room are put together, if their beds are made, if their stuff it's like where they're supposed to be. And I do see it when everything's chaotic, they're acting chaotic. So it's interesting to make that connection.
Yeah, and I love that you said the flowers, because the simple things matter. I think a lot of times And this is pretty much my whole platform, is that people think you need these huge wins in life, like these big momentum changes to see results that are going to feel like they're large changes. But really, it's small changes that add up. And I can't hit that home any more than that. Buying flowers, lighting a candle, setting the dim lights on, turning on some calm music, cooking a meal at home together and sitting around the table. These are all really small acts and small things that really change the dynamic of your home. And just recognizing that your home matters and how you feel about your
Yeah.
home. I love that I can say that my home feels like my sanctuary. It is the place I
Same.
absolutely
I
love
love
to
it.
be because it brings me that peace. And if you can't say that about your home, then start looking for tools that will help serve you and get you there, because it really does matter and it'll change your motherhood experience.
I also love that my son loves his home, right? The other day, so I'm getting massages, like whatever, once a week because it helps me relax. I love it. I thought it was a good investment. I have like scheduled it as a priority. And now he loves to get, so now she gives him a 30-minute massage and they'll do an hour massage. And last time he was like, oh, mom, can you turn on the candle? Like for his massage, he's 5. I was like, you're right, babe. You deserve the candle also. So I put the music, I put the candle. So they definitely get used to whatever environment you create for them, right? So
Yeah.
if you create that space, if you create order, if you create peace, whatever that may look like for you, they'll get used to that environment and they'll expect it going forward.
Yeah, and I really don't want moms to feel like, oh my gosh, this is just more to-dos, more perfect motherhood. This is really your mental health that we're talking about. And it's the way it's tangible, physical things that you can do, that you can control. Because here's the truth, you can't control your kids. And so when I became a mom, we as human beings like control. We seek control, right? And I was like, I can't control these kids, but I can control my home. And that for me provided so much like accomplishment in an arena, in a space that doesn't have a lot of accomplishment, right? Motherhood, you don't ever feel accomplished about your kids, because they're forever changing and growing, but you can feel accomplished about your home and you can feel in control about your home, and that will directly impact the dynamic of your kids in your home. And so it is a full circle. By starting with something so simple and
Yeah.
so tangible, it has a lot of benefits and rewards, with your children as well.
And also being honest about identifying what you can control and we cannot control, right? Because I think a lot of times we're naive or we're in denial about what we cannot control. And once you surrender and once you let go of that and you're like, okay, let me focus on the actual things that I could actually control, I think it's such a game changer, like makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, and with 4 kids, it's really clear I can't control my kids. They're all very different. And one is literally going to give me gray hairs, and I think that's his goal in life. It's really hard. Like, it's you have to tell yourself like they are not a representation of you. Like, you are a good mom, because so many times we want to own and hold like their actions as your failures. And if I believe that, I would be a failure of a mom, because with 4 kids, they're going to fail you daily if you put that expectation in their actions. And that's not true. They're great human beings. They're
Yeah.
learning and they're growing, and that's your role as a mom. And so you're just trying to give them the best environment so that they can thrive. And please don't hold their actions as your expectations for yourself, because I've learned that the hard way.
I love that. I love that. Before signing off, Amy, why don't we invite people once again to follow you where they can find you?
So yeah, Genius Mom Hacks is, my accounts on all platforms. That is my brand. So definitely follow me there, and keep an eye out for my book launch. You can check out my guides too if you want some like step by step, deeper hand holding to get your home on autopilot. And then I also have one-on-one coaching, but those are the spaces to find me. And I'd be honored if I saw you on those platforms.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Bye, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It's been a great time chatting.
Thank you.